Happy Halloween, gamers! I'm pleased to announce that Five Nights at Freddy's has a real movie in cinema that you can go and watch right now. Here's my official review as somebody who is terrified of jump scares. I didn't watch it.
That's a lot of nuts!
Before the video starts, I want to give a quick shout out to the video sponsor, Into the AM. A big thank you to those guys for hooking me up with some of the dopest threads just in time for spooky season. I'm currently wearing their brand new fall collection. They've got sweatpants, they've got beanies, socks, and underwear, and this dope ass hoodie, which not only has an oversized hood, which is just oh so streetwear right now, but it doesn't have that stupid kangaroo pouch on the front, so it's just like one smooth sheet of fabric, and then it's got pockets on the side so you can still walk around like a boxer in Philadelphia in one of their training montages. It's so nice. If you're sick of dressing up like an unfashionable loser for Halloween, then I got a solution. Either click the link in the description or use discount code Sumito for an additional 10% off your entire order at intotheam.com. Remember, not only are you gonna dress better, but you're gonna be supporting the channel with everything that you buy. And that's a win-win.
Transition.
Drama, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest story to come out of this week that anybody's been talking about online has been the fact that baking and cooking YouTuber Rosana Pansino, who for like a decade or more has been just staying in her lane, drama-free, kind of just making videos of cakes and collaborating, cooking, and general cooking content on her YouTube channel, has effectively made like a call-out post on Twitter saying that she felt slighted by Mr. Beast because of the way that he edited a video that they collaborated on to make it seem as if she didn't do as well as she actually did in a competition that he held. Rosana Pansino states in an interview that she did on Trisha Paytas' podcast, as well as Ethan Klein's H3 podcast, as well as a post that she made later on Twitter, all on the 27th of October, that she felt slighted by Mr. Beast's $1 million influencer competition of which she partook in, where in the second part of the video, they all did a giant game of hide and go seek for $1 million. But when the final video came out, it was edited to make it seem as though Zach King, American YouTuber Rae, and Logan Paul were the final three contestants, where in reality, according to Rosanna, it was actually her, YouTuber Quackity, and Zach King who were the final three contestants in the video. Now, Zach King ends up being the final winner of this $1 million competition, so it's not like Rosanna feels as though she won and she didn't. But they edited it to make it seem as though she came in 4th place when in reality she was top 3. This series of events is actually backed up by YouTuber Quackity, who very soon after the competition or after the video went live spoke about the fact that he also felt bad that he was edited out of the top 3 when he in reality placed in 2nd in this competition. But apparently online everybody's just thinking because he has a largely Spanish-speaking audience and nobody really cared because of that. This means that in reality, 1st place would have still been Zach King, followed by Quackity, followed by Rosana Pansino. But Rosanna also claims that Zach King, and this is backed up by a Reddit post that I'm reading on r/outoftheloop, that Zach King was given special exception in the fact that he was allowed to hide in the ceilings, which was evidently against the rules of the competition, but he wasn't disqualified for it, which means that Quackity should have actually won the competition, which means he didn't get $1 million that he may have rightfully, won if everything was fair and square. But in the name of entertainment, it seems as though it was edited and executed in a way that the actual winner of the competition didn't win the competition. What's the opposite of Mr. Beast? Mr. Least credible. These claims of illegitimacy in the execution of this video is a big deal, I imagine, for Mr. Beast, because he has a lot of videos that are very high stakes, sensationalized things that aren't impressive if they aren't authentic, right? You guys have probably all seen the videos of people in the jungle who were like digging out these huge mud moats and making rivers and everything. There's a few guys who do these things legitimately by themselves and time-lapse videos of their work over the course of like 50 or 100 hours. But then there's also people who do this with the help of like excavators and a ton of other people helping them and edit the video to make it seem as though they did everything themselves. Is it still impressive that they managed to make these gorgeous houses and things out of mud and bamboo and everything? Sure, but if you're making people think that you did it one way when in reality you did it in a way that's way easier, it doesn't matter if the final product's great and fun to watch, it does still add a bad taste in my mouth to feel like I was misled into watching it. Obviously, you can say this with anything that people, anytime Mr. Beast does a video, people are going to be saying negative things about the way that he executes it. The dude's just so big, he can't produce anything without criticism. I get that. But a huge number of videos are predicated around the idea that it's real. When he's buried alive for 24 hours, when he's in an entire house full of ice for 48 hours or whatever it is. You know, if you were to find out that he didn't actually do that, would it take away from the entertainment value of the video? No, it would still be fun to watch. He still mostly did the thing. But it does kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth to know that you were misled into believing something that may not actually be as true as it's, presented to be. Not to mention, a big part of Mr. Beast's appeal is the fact that he is a YouTuber and not a Hollywood studio, right? He is a YouTuber with a tremendous team of people behind him and probably does these exactly the same way that a reality TV show would, but there is still a difference between Joe Rogan hosting Fear Factor and inviting 15 YouTubers to come on and do a celebrity episode where they drink horse semen and eat bull testicles, and Mr. Beast doing that same thing where it still feels like he's inviting his friends to come and have a good time, and it just happens to be fun to watch. Mr. Beast has gone into podcast and talked about how his process for making video ideas is to think of like the most clickbaity title and thumbnail, but then to actually execute on the video. Like, what if we got them to click because we gave away $1 million, but then instead of baiting them into something else, we actually just gave away $1 million. It's a great video process for coming up with ideas, and it served him well in actually making the videos, but if you don't do the videos in a way that is actually authentic and representative of the thing that people clicked for, are you not just clickbaiting people again? The other side of the story is the idea that Rosana Pansino may just be doing this and coming out with this story or even making up this story simply for attention and to clout chase. And unfortunately, as somebody who's been watching Rosana Pansino's baking videos for like 10 years, this holds a lot of weight. I'll be the first one to admit that it doesn't really feel like Rosana Pansino is handling this well as like the source of attention and information for what happened with the situation. She seems to just be focusing on what happened to her, despite the fact that if everything she's saying is true, then the real big story here should be the fact that there should have been a different person who won $1 million if Zach King was, cheating according to her rendition of events. But she hasn't really addressed that or doubled down on the fact that Quackity should have been the one who won, or that she felt like people weren't playing the game legitimately. She's completely focused everything that she said around the fact that she didn't place one place higher in her competition. She's gone as far as to say that she feels like the reason that it might be is because she's a female, and the only female who made it to the top 3 was the one that edited out. She's been responding to people, talking about how she's happy that people are believing her story. She's got leaked DMs with Jimmy in which he wants him to admit that she was edited out and to say why he wants to edit it out, and seems to focus on the fact that he won't hop on a call, evidently proving that he doesn't want to put anything in writing, despite the fact, and a lot of people have been quick to point this out, that, it's a video from a year ago that you're just bringing up now. Like, it's, in all fairness, probably possible that Jimmy just legitimately doesn't remember why they edited it the way that they did, or why the 4th place contestant who really came in 3rd even cares. But she's framing it as if he's trying to hide something. People have also been quick to point out that she's bringing up all of this seemingly randomly a year after it happened, but also in the same week that she seems to be coming out with a music video, so it's a bit too convenient that she's drawing all this attention to herself while she's got this big project that's coming out, which is, seems reasonable. She was also responding to a lot of people who were critical of her story or the seemingly convenience of her timing of coming out with this story, with phrases like not believing her story and very much like playing up the victim card, which, is fair. And we should believe people who feel like they were slighted. These are big influencers with a ton of money. Like, if they want to manipulate the story, they very much have the means to, especially if you're somebody like Mr. Beast. However, it's a game of hide and go seek that you didn't win. And the difference in the story is still the fact that you didn't win. Like, I understand if you felt like you were, ripped off of winning $1 million. But if the only situation is that Mr. Beast doesn't have the most authentic videos in the world, I think we all are kind of in agreement with that. And to play it as if you suffered some sort of traumatic experience and people are belittling that traumatic experience when it was a game of hide and go seek is that most people are finding that to be a little bit, that's a little much. Rosana Pansino has since put out an apology and deleted all of her tweets on the matter, stating that she wants to apologize to Mr. Beast and that this should have happened privately. However, she's not going to lie that the thousands of death threats definitely were a contributing factor to the fact that, you know, she's taking down all the stuff that she said about it. I think at the end of the day, there is some legitimate criticism here about Mr. Beast's content, because if Rosanna didn't say anything, I would have watched those couple of videos and thought that everything was done exactly as the way that it was portrayed. And maybe that's just me being gullible and not, you know, remembering that this isn't me talking to a camera just trying to be honest and share my feelings. There is a production team, a process, there is a storyline that they're going to try and make as interesting as possible. And that probably includes bending the truth when it comes to when things, you know, there's plenty of people who record videos over the course of a couple days and make it look like it all happened in one day. You know, little editing lies like that happen. But this is definitely a case of Rosana Pansino just handling this really poorly. I think if there was going to be any credibility to the claims that she was making that resulted in like action or like a conversation, then it would have had to be around the authenticity of the competition and arguably about who should have won, whether or not Zach King did cheat and should have been eliminated, whether or not Quackity should have been the actual winner. But the fact that Rosanna was never in competition to be the person who won the competition, and she's instead made the entire story about herself and her feeling bad about it, and the fact that Mr. Beast wasn't able to give her a perfect explanation a year after the fact of exactly why things went down the way that they did, and painting him as a bad character because of that, it all feels very clout chasey. It feels bad to say that, because I do feel like there is legitimate foul play in the competition itself and a little bit of misleading in the way that the video was edited. But again, it just kind of all goes out the window because it feels like Rosanna's just kind of milking it a bit too much, if that makes sense. I like to think, as somebody who wants to believe that Mr. Beast isn't doing anything like malicious, that, you know, editing the videos differently is the equivalent of like a cooking show where they make it look like they only have 10 seconds to finish their dish, but they're really editing it for the last 5 minutes and it's not as intense or time crunchy as it seems, but they do it for the drama. I like to imagine that's the equivalent of what Mr. Beast is doing with his editing, but I guess, you know, if you're not there, you don't know. If you guys have any examples of some back-end YouTuber hijinks editing tricks that you were shocked to find out, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested, as a nerd of content creation myself, what other little tricks and editing hacks and manipulation of reality people do on their content to make something seem like something else. And while you're at it, click the link in the description. Get yourself 10% off of Into the AM. Thank you to the Patreon boy scrolling in the back. Thank you so much for helping make this video happen. And I'll catch you guys on the next one, yeah? Peace.